Welcome back. This segment of Money Markets is all about dissecting a company or group of companies to understand why they're special. What makes these companies in Jamaica stand out from the rest? And to make the call, we have Nielsen Rose, Business Development. Sorry. And to make the call, we have Nielsen Rose.
Please, go ahead.
All right. And to make the call, we have Nielsen Rose, Business Development Manager at Burlington Investment. Nielsen, what's your call?
Hi Denise.
Hi.
Well, before I actually make the call, I just want to give you a look at Jamaica's current environment.
All right.
An environment of high inflation, exchange rate instability, and one of the lowest interest rates we've seen in our history for a long time. When you look at inflation, I mean, we're talking about looking at moving through peaks and troughs from 2002, where we had, say, somewhere about 8% or thereabouts, to a high of almost 20% in 2008. We're currently running as an average of somewhere around 11%.
And this impacts going to the supermarket.
Oh, yes, it does.
Mhm.
That's
And-
the heart of it.
right.
Also impacting that is your exchange rate instability. And we've seen, but when look, this time let's take a closer look at, say, around about 2009
So
forward to now.
The Jamaican dollar.
The Jamaican
So
dollar
one US dollar would have bought a little under 90 US dollars
in
2009, or 4 years ago.
right, but in 2010 we had some stability where the dollar came all the way down to about 86, 87 thereabouts, touching 85 somewhere in 2011. And we saw where at the start of this year, somewhere around 93, it has climbed all the way to currently
No, it
sitting
has
at
galloped.
105.
It
Oh yes,
It hasn't climbed, it's galloped.
gallop, jump, vaulted, you name it. But interest rates, round about that same time, if we looked at what happened with the dollar, rates started coming down.
So I'm reading this correctly. In Jamaica, we had rates of 25%
Oh yes,
on
in
savings.
January 2009, we're looking as a measure at the 180-day T-bill rate.
Right.
January 09, that's where it was. I mean, it plummeted all the way down to somewhere a little about 5-6% thereabouts.
So
But
that was nice here, and then my savings was
well, nice is depending on how you look at it, because many people will tell you that the economy cannot afford, it cannot sustain high interest rate, though investors would love this here. But for the businessman, certainly this is what he would have preferred, and maybe even low. So we're seeing a period of relatively low interest rate in Jamaica.
So hold on. So what we're saying is that.
Pause.
Hello? So what we're saying is that although inflation is slightly up, the dollar gone, interest rates are low. So things may cost more, but it's cheaper to borrow to get them.
Interest rates are relatively low. Because when we compare to, say, other countries, they might still be a tinge high. But in Jamaican context, interest rates are low.
Hold on now, let me get you on this one. Credit cards. Are credit cards low? Interest rates?
No,
Okay.
because you see, credit cards is actually like overdraft. It's using money that you don't have.
Oh.
So that's what you get. But credit cards can be quite efficient if you pay on time.
Alright, fair enough, fair enough. All
So,
right.
so again, in this environment, what do we think are the best options, and where do we want to go? We want to look not just for tomorrow or for next week. We want to look at investing long term.
But hold on, yes. The dollar is moving. Why should I even bother to look at companies? Because it's all soon locked down.
And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't, we assume you will be living through that long term. And if you live through that long term, you're going to need income somewhere down the road. There are investment objectives that you have down the road. The need to buy a house, the need to retire, the need to do many things. Children has to go to college. All of these are long-term objectives that has to be taken care of. They won't go away because the dollar is running. They won't go away because inflation is
So you're
running.
saying the country don't lock down?
Exactly, but they will still be there, and so you have to prepare for that.
Alright, okay.
So what we want to look at, good long-term prospects, a proven records of returns and equity. That helps you to beat out inflation. So we want to look at future stars. What will work for us down the road? I've chosen at least 3 Jamaican companies. They're pretty diversified in your revenue streams, give you good opportunities, and they ensure good profitability. More importantly, many say the Jamaican economy is weak. So what we want to look at companies that are diversifying their revenue streams outside of Jamaica.
Okay, alright, run it.
3 of these companies, Grace Kennedy, Jamaica Broilers, and Supreme Ventures. No, Grace Kennedy.
So what are they known for? What's Grace Kennedy's big thing?
Grace Kennedy is one of Jamaica's largest conglomerates. They are into food, that's one of the main areas, finance, insurance, the remittance business. They're in almost every aspect of Jamaican life.
Yeah, but all I know is Grace Ketchup.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've never gotten remittances from abroad through
Yeah, I have an aunt in Atlanta that sends me $200 a month.
Grace Kennedy's into remittances.
Okay, alright.
And if you ever have to go to the bank or investment, they're into that kind of business too. So they're well spread throughout the Jamaican experience.
Okay.
And I want to show you, Grace Kennedy has been able to grow profit. Let's look at 2008, from about 1.7 million to 3.8 billion.
Billion.
Yes.
Billion Jamaican. With
Yes.
a B.
Billion with a B.
Wow.
So, I mean, these companies are doing very, very well.
But if you look from 2008 and you go all the way to 2012, it looks like their return on equity, the growth, is tracking inflation.
Pretty much, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to, in investing, to at least, at the very minimum, keep pace with inflation. So your dollar does not lose that purchasing power. And that's what you're getting with Grace Kennedy. When you look further at their earnings per share, you see it also moving from 7.82 to 10.5.
So all of this from selling ketchup?
Catch up, from bringing money for you from abroad, from helping you financially, the whole works. And so Grace Kennedy also, I want to show you, not only has the stock performed well, but I want to take you through to something else about Grace Kennedy. So they've shown a 23% increase in net
So
profits.
what does that mean?
It means that the profit is increasing above inflation.
Okay.
The food trading and the money trading side have done very well. But more importantly, the overseas profits are up significantly. As a matter of fact, they have doubled revenue in Ghana.
Hold on,
Now,
hold
why
on.
is this important?
No, hold on. You're saying a Jamaican company is making money in Africa?
And Africa is one of the fastest growing regions in the world, and so that's why you want to ensure
But Jamaica's a little tiny dot on the map. Why they're selling
existing in
ketchup
a global
and they're
market
selling
stage.
ketchup in Africa?
Ketchup and juices and Jamaican foods. And we're not talking about the Jamaican diaspora in more developed countries. So that's one of the reasons why we love Grace Kennedy.
All right.
But let me take you to another Jamaican company that is also doing well. I want to take you to Jamaica Broilers, makers of the Best Dressed Chicken, Hypro, and other brands. They've also, unlike Grace Kennedy, where we've seen a steady increase in their profit line, they've had a little bit of volatility, but what you're looking at is growth from 08 through to 2010. Fell off back a little bit at 2011, but it still is way above 08.
Hold on. Again, I want you to break it down because maybe I'm not so bright as I think I am. You're saying to me this company has made almost $1 billion selling chicken.
Selling chicken, fish,
So
chicken feed, and all
so
agricultural
Jamaicans
products.
eat chicken that they are able to chicken and rice and peas.
You
That's
go, there you
important.
go, Denise. What else do we eat on a Sunday? That's what you look at. It is what we consume. It is the things that we do at the core, at the heart of it. That's where these companies are. So they also have been growing revenues and growing earnings. The stock has shown a little bit of volatility here again,
Oh,
but that's
stop.
what.
Stop. Nielsen, I keep interrupting you, but these are important. Are you saying to me, if I had bought the stock in 1994, when, you know, I was like 3 years old, right? We could have, it was $1 or less than $1.
Yes.
And now it has clicked up.
As a matter of
It went
fact,
as high as $7.
so it shows you as way back as 09, 2010, how much
In the
money you
middle of
could
a
have made.
recession?
As a matter of fact, you could have sold it. You could have sold the stock in 2008 at around about $6, bought it back, let's say a little about $3, and by 2011 you would have been back at 7. But that's what you look for in the stock
Nielsen,
market.
that's higgling. That's not invested, that's
That is
higgling.
investing, and Denise, if we were to go back again to the numbers we showed you earlier.
Go back.
So if we were to go back, you saw the very same thing happening here, where the profits increased, fell off, and then is now on the way back up. And so when you look at how the stock prices move, it has moved accordingly, and that's the volatility that you're looking for over the long term. When you're talking about the stock market, that's what it offers. And that's how you're able to keep pace with inflation and devaluation.
All right.
That's what a company like Jamaica Brawlers has been doing for you. It is in the agricultural sector, a sector that